I watched the first season, watched part of the second one, and I've tried to catch up. And but either way, I watched this episode, and I remember all the characters, so I'm still in it. And I thought it was pretty good. It's interesting how so many of the characters have changed. Everything with Harper, and she seems to be a little bit more confident. And I'm not sure if anybody on this show is on the right path necessarily, but um, you know, she's got a little bit more, I guess, stability to her.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of It's the Stream Life podcast with Brandon and Lorin. This week, we are going to tackle the season 3 premiere of Industry. But first, let's talk a bit about how we spent our past weekends and weeks. Anything new with you?
Not too much really. Just the same old, same old. Kind of waiting for the weather to finally change for good because I am tired of the heat.
Yeah, the heat shot back up out of nowhere. After
Yes,
a
it
few
did.
cool days. Very strange.
Right.
Nothing really new with me. I will have my car hopefully by Tuesday.
That's good.
If we didn't know, my car was stolen in Chicago, so it's been an ordeal, but
Right.
it's being repaired and should have it back. Excuse me, this week. But this past weekend, my sister and I went to see Missy Elliott in concert, and it was
Right.
pretty good. This was her first headlining tour, which is sort of insane to think about. As long as she's
Right.
been in the game, but she was excellent. She was also had Sierra and Busta Rhymes with her, who were pretty good as well. So hopefully she
good.
drops some new music soon because she definitely knows how to put on the show. It was a great production.
That's good.
And in other news, it seems a lot of people are just in litigation. That kind of seems to be a theme going on here.
Yeah.
First off, 5 have been charged with the drug-assisted death of Matthew Perry, or accidental overdose of Matthew Perry. As we know, last year he passed away after an accidental overdose of ketamine.
Right.
And they now have arrested not only an alleged doctor who prescribed the pills, but a quote-unquote ketamine queen who was, I guess, somehow selling them under the table or whatever, as well as an alleged friend of Matthew Perry who was sort of like the liaison between these dealers and him. So
Wow.
they arrest folks when they want to.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. So we'll have to see how that moves forward. In other news, CBS Studios will have to face a lawsuit from a disgruntled writer. This gentleman alleged that he was discriminated against because he was white, as other women and people of color were chosen for writing jobs over him. So we'll see how this goes. It's just another example of how diversity policies are being challenged by more conservative entities. I'm pretty sure his lawsuit and attorneys are being funded by the people in the MAGA world.
Side. Yeah, that makes sense.
So, I believe he was a writer on CBS's SWAT and was upset that he was overlooked for, I guess, an alleged minority, aka DEI hire. But some people say he was just not good at writing. So
yeah, I'm not sure how he thinks he's going to win that one.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's proceeding because it just the whole concept is faulty. But
right,
we'll have to see. And then the biggest slam to come out so far, we all enjoyed X-Men 97 this past March, but the former creator, Bo DeMaio, was fired from the show and from Marvel for unknown reasons at the time before the series premiered. But recently he's gone online and said that he was allegedly let go and had a second season credit removed because he had posted gay pride themed fan art of the X-Men on his Instagram page. And alleged other mistreatment by Marvel Studios. Well, Marvel was quick to rebuff those claims and say he was not fired for that, but he was fired after internal investigation revealed some egregious behavior. And just from online, people are saying that he had sent risque photos of himself in X-Men or superhero attire to young male staffers and called it inspiration for the artwork for the show.
Wow.
And he allegedly was told to stop, and he kept going. So that's why they're alleging that's why he was terminated. So it doesn't look good for Bo,
No, not at
especially
all.
since one, when he was let go, neither side was saying anything. Like we
Yeah.
just moved on.
And then
He kept going. Like they allowed him to talk about the show while the show was on. The show was even nominated for an Emmy, so he is essentially nominated for an Emmy for the writing on an episode. But now all of a sudden he started popping off, and Marvel has come to sort of nip this in the bud. He also has a history of alleged toxic behavior. He was fired from The Witcher at Netflix
Damn.
for
Yeah.
alleged workplace toxicity. So he has a history of bad behavior in writers' rooms.
So it's definitely not looking good for him.
Yeah, not at all. And even while the show was on or before it aired, he got into some social media arguments with people who were upset about certain characters' but depiction. He had cast a white actor to play an Afro-Cuban character or Afro-Brazilian character. And then I guess the character's origins, racism plays a key in his origin story, and that was removed in this series, which isn't a big deal. But he became very belligerent when people asked him about this critique and kind of appeared to be anti-black. So,
wow, damn, that's a lot.
It's not good for him. You don't go from being this hero for marginalized communities in such a series as X-Men to going to this. So he may not write again in a very long time if he keeps this up.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and he's around our age, so he's not that old. Yeah, so best of luck to Bo, because I don't think he's going to win. Yeah, I don't think he's going to win against Disney. And that's just some of the current headlines going on, but we're going to go ahead and get into our feature presentation where we're discussing the season 3 premiere of HBO's Industry. The Little Mac Show That Could has gone from Monday nights to Sunday evenings at 9 p.m., which is like a prime time slot.
A huge slot, yeah.
Yeah, which means a great push for a series that's been critically acclaimed and hopefully gains more viewers. I saw the season premiere this past summer at ATF City Festival, so I already knew what was about to happen. So let me hear your thoughts on what you thought of the first episode.
Okay. So it was pretty good, and I guess I should give people a little bit of information that I watched the first season, watched part of the second one, and I've tried to catch up. And but either way, I watched this episode, and I remember all the characters, so I'm still in it. And I thought it was pretty good. It's interesting how so many of the characters have changed. Everything with Harper, and she seems to be a little bit more confident, and I'm not sure if anybody on this show is on the right path necessarily, but you know, she's got a little bit more, I guess, stability to her. But then on the flip side, you have Yasmin. Is that how they pronounce her name? Mm-hmm. She's kind of just spiraling. Or, I mean, some of that's out of her control, but that's an interesting storyline and see where she goes, because she was kind of the Nepo hire. And now, you know, she doesn't have that back anymore. Well, she did. And then she was like, she wanted to get away from her father. And now her father is on the run or some shit. It's like, what's going on? Like, hold on. But
it's crazy.
Yeah. So that was interesting. And then it's interesting to see kind of this human side of Eric. I did catch some of that from watching the parts I did in the second season. And now in this episode this first episode, you see a little bit more of that, and to see him a bit rattled and stuff. So it's been interesting. It was good. It was a good episode, and I'll continue watching this season while also finishing out the second season. So it should be, I think it'll all come together. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I did.
Yeah, I thought the first episode really showed the improvement of not only the cast, but the creators and writers. They sort of reached a new height in this season. Yeah, Harper, she seems, well, she has no other reason to, what I'm trying to say.
Right.
She really can't do anything else but sort of like
Right.
take it easy because
Exactly.
she's basically starting over. Yeah, that season 2 finale was such a shocker because she's sort of like our anti-heroine in a
Yeah.
sense. You're rooting for her and all of the characters, but they also make horrible decisions.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly. Oh, and
and
I forgot
our
about. Oh, my bad. My bad. I forgot about what's his name? The other character, Robert.
Robert,
Yeah, he had a huge story in this episode.
yeah, yeah, that was the shocker of the episode.
Right.
I think everyone gasped when that happened. But yeah, Harper is basically starting over. And she's got to take it one step at a time as she's trying to sort of climb this totem pole that is corporate America or corporate England, I would
Right.
say. Robert, yeah, he's still sort of trying to find his footing. Um, he's always been searching for, I guess, home away from home, given sort of like the disarray he was sort of birthed from and what he was
Right.
running from, trying to prove something, and now his sort of familial connection that he found in this weird
Like.
industry
Yeah.
mother figure, I would say, is
Yeah. That's a good
gone
word. Yeah.
in such a shocking way, and it kind of leaves him vulnerable. He hates to
Yeah.
admit it, but he's a softie underneath that sort of cute boy exterior. Yasmin is just, yeah, she's a
All over the
mess
place. Yeah, she's
all
all
over the
over the place.
place. Like, because of her father, she's now sort of like the face for public enemy number one. Like, everywhere she
Right.
goes, whatever he's done, it gets to her since he isn't there.
And they're like
And
calling her
that's,
like the embezzlement heiress or stuff, and yeah, the
yeah.
paparazzi's following her.
Yeah, so she's sort of like public enemy number one in the tabloids, and it's affecting her job too. Just when she's trying to overcome some of the past
Right.
stumbles, and I was sort of shocked the way what happens to one of her colleagues that had given her a hard time before, and that's
Yeah.
part of Eric's arc as well. We see Eric; he was on the verge of being fired because of whatever transpired with Harper, and he decides to take a promotion, which is great in a sense, but it's basically you get promoted to eventually retire. Like, him being promoted
Right.
just means he's sort of a figurehead instead of in the action on the stock floor. So to kind of save himself, he's got to make another cut, and unfortunately he's
Right.
forced to fire, can't remember his name,
It
but
was. Yeah.
the one guy who
Oh,
oh shoot, the
it's
recovering
right there.
alcoholic. um he was an alcoholic and he recovered. He had treated
And it
Yasmin so terribly.
is it Kinney?
Kenny, yes, I can't
Yeah.
believe I couldn't
Yeah.
remember that.
I can. Yeah, it was right there.
Yeah, he had to fire Kenny, and it shows just how great these characters are being developed, because we all hated Kenny that first season, like,
Right.
and to see this happen now, it was sad. It was definitely a sad moment to see him go, and sort of the way Yasmin sort of twisted the sense of reconciliation I thought they were heading towards, just to sort of save face. It is definitely extreme. What were your thoughts
Yeah.
on Kit Harington's character?
Interesting. He seems untrustworthy a little bit. Kind of, his company doesn't seem stable, and everything he does seems kind of, I don't know, by luck. So I'm not sure that's a good thing for them attached to. But I'm glad you brought that up, because one thing that gets me about this show is whenever they really get into like financial talk and stuff like that, I'm kind of just like a deer in headlights. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, what are all
Yeah.
these? Because this whole thing with his part was his Lumi and then ESG and all this stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I'll just just get back to the drama. I don't know what's happening.
Exactly. I think everyone kind of watches that part and just like, oh, whoop.
Right.
But yeah, he seems to be basically a nepo baby himself, who just got passed down this company as, I don't know, a gift, and there's no real actual truth to it. It's sort of like a big charade he's banking on, the sort of the wokeness of environmental change and progress to sort of capitalize on this business that has no real teeth. And that final scene of them announcing them going public and the switch doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's an omen if I've ever seen one before. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see exactly how they maneuver and the way he's moving around both Yasmin and Robert, what was transpired there.
Right.
So,
and it's interesting because with Eric, he almost seems to not like Yasmin or doesn't think she's very good at what she does, and is attracted to her too. So their conversations are really weird and uneasy in a way. It's like this is uncomfortable.
Yeah. Like with Harper, he trusted Harper. Like he saw himself in her and potential. Right. So there was never, only thing that crossed the line there was the insider trading, all this other stuff. But with Yasmin, it's definitely more HR level boundaries being crossed. And that whole scene with him and her and the woman and him sort of, because we know now he's divorced, he's a free man, quote unquote. That was very interesting indeed. What did you think about the pivotal scene with Robert coming into work after the traumatic event and his scene with Eric alone in the hallway?
When he starts yelling at him I'm a man and I'm relentless, I was like, first of all, it was hard not to laugh. It wasn't a funny scene, but just that was kind of okay, I get what's happening. But I thought it was interesting because it must have been so hard, because you think he's in this great place with this new woman, and then he's sneaking out to see Nicole. He can't really tell anybody that she's passed because, it's an affair of sorts. And so he doesn't have the chance to kind of have a moment, and it happens on the floor where he starts sobbing and all that, and then he gets pulled aside. But yeah, I thought it was a powerful scene, a really well acted scene. But the yelling at him had me okay, let me straighten up.
Right, yeah, it was a little off-putting, but it's we talk about it, and it's become sort of more of a motif thing. But this whole toxic masculinity. But that was a fine example of just burying any other emotion other than strength
and power,
and invulnerability or whatever. And for a moment, I thought Eric was going to have a heart to heart with him.
Yeah,
because he seemed worried, but then it just turned into this sort of bogus chant. Right. That seemed to work. Seemed to work, but it was definitely a pivotal scene. Overall, I thought the episode was excellent, and I'm ready to see what comes next for our characters.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good season.
Yeah, definitely. We get a new episode of Industry Sunday tonight at 9 p.m. on HBO and Max. Okay. All right, and now we'll go ahead and get into our streams of the week. Let's see. We both watched Unsolved Mysteries. Did you finish this volume?
So I started with the two kind of outlier episodes. So I watched the Jack the Ripper. I was like, is there anything new? There really wasn't. And then I watched the Mothman, and I was like, same old, same old. But the thing that freaked me out about the Mothman is usually you hear about that in Virginia. This was in Illinois. I was like, wait a second. Why is he moving?
Because I never heard him anywhere else but Virginia. Yeah.
Yeah. But then, as for the other episodes, the only one I watched the one about the woods because I thought that was the most interesting, where they like found the head in
Oh,
the
the
woods or
head.
whatever. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I thought this season was a bit mid.
yeah,
I started the Jack the Ripper and fell asleep, so I guess I didn't miss
yeah,
anything there. I watched the Mothman just because I liked that mythos, and yeah, I had not
yeah,
realized there were other sightings
yeah. That freaked me out.
elsewhere. I remember I watched some of the Severed Head one, and that was interesting. But the one I watched in full was the Body in the Basement.
Yeah, that's like the first one of the regular episodes. Yeah, I
Yeah,
didn't watch that.
that one was really sad because basically, you have a woman who is found dead in her basement, blood everywhere, like all over the floor. She had allegedly been sexually assaulted and everything like this. And of course, her spouse was the main suspect,
Right.
but he didn't do it. He was out of town. So the mystery is did this
Did it
woman,
happen?
how did this happen? And they basically say it was an accident. Like she tripped over something, hit her head on the way down the stairs, and just bled out, allegedly. So yeah, that was kind of wild. And what was the other one?
Well, I can't remember.
Mothman, Jack the Ripper, Biden the Base, Severed Head.
There's five,
Uh,
right?
yeah, I don't remember what the other one was. I can't remember if I watched it or not. That just lets me know that the season wasn't that
Yeah,
wasn't that
it
great.
didn't hit like it usually does.
Yeah. Um, but we are getting volume 5 in October,
Okay, well, that's
so
good.
we won't have to wait long for more episodes there.
Yeah, and maybe those will be more along the lines of what we're used to seeing.
Yeah. Let me see what the fifth one was. So we had the Severed Head, Jack the Ripper, Mothman. I don't remember what the other one was. Oh, Murder Center Stage. That's right. I did watch that
Oh
one.
yeah, and that was
That
I
one
didn't
was
watch that one,
sad.
but I remember that story happening. It was kind of like, wait, what?
Yeah. And they still don't know who exactly did it. They suspected this guy who played a cop, but
Yeah,
yeah, that one was sad too. I kind of watched them with them on in the background
right, right,
because they weren't that gripping. But
right.
yeah, that one was sad.
No, I
So yeah,
think.
Unsolved. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. I think the ones in October will probably be better. Maybe they had that in mind. Like, oh, it's October. Let's try to go in for that.
Yeah, a little spooky. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Exactly.
And I think part of it too is that now that true crime is like such a big genre, it's kind of
Right.
hard to find undiscovered or
Right.
stories that are actually gripping now because it's so
Right.
dominant,
And when you watch
oversaturated.
the news and the stories are more
Yeah,
disturbing, it's like, okay,
right,
wow.
right. Yeah, it's weird. What else did you watch?
Let me see my list real quick. Oh, I finished the show, Maestro and Blue, and this is a show I started, I want to say maybe a month or two ago, and this is set in Greece and follows a music conductor who comes to a town to help them like rebrand this massive festival they used to have, and then as he does that, little things start to unwind. We start to see how the like little dark side of this town, and
Oh,
he's flirting with a 19-year-old. It's really good, and it's really
mm,
like scenic, so it's nice to look at. So I finally knocked that out, and I was glad. So yeah, I
okay.
do that all the time. Like I'll start a show and then lose
Right.
interest, and then I was like, okay, I got nothing to
Go
do. Let
back to
me
it.
finish this.
Yeah, that's actually the best way to do is like start something and then come back to it because the whole like
Right.
binging thing just doesn't work
No,
anymore. Yeah. Let's see. Currently watching. I started Bel Air season 3 this
okay.
past week. And it's pretty good. It's same kind of fare. Fresh was the Bel Air. Those characters taken from the comedy sitcom in sort of a dramatized version of the show.
Right.
They've taken some different liberties to make it more dramatic. The cast is still really good. And this season, Jeffrey's son Frederick is living in LA now, or in Bel Air now with him, because he's
Oh,
afraid of his past catching up with Frederick. So
yeah.
he's bringing a new dynamic to the cast. Um, and both Will and Carlton are on this path to like become entrepreneurs during the summer in this sort of program. But the main new thing is that both um, Uncle Phil and Aunt Vivian are having some marital strife. They both have sort of not cheated, but they sort of dabbled in
Around. Okay.
flirtation. Yeah, and they're both hiding it, and it came to a head in the third episode. So now there's sort of like this rift between them. So that will be interesting as the episodes move forward.
Okay.
But yeah, that's over on Peacock.
Yeah, I was
And
when that
then
show first. Oh, I was gonna say when that show first started, or was first even talked about. I didn't know what the approach to it was going to be, but then I watched the first season. I was like, okay, that's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, it was actually a pretty good adaptation or reboot
Right, right,
or whatever. It's it knows exactly what it is,
right.
and it pulls from like stories from the original sitcom and just sort of like turns them to be more dramatic or things of that nature. So it works really well. All right, in the coming weeks, we'll have tons of new TV to watch.
Yes.
Um, for me, I will be looking forward to Pachinko season 2 over on Apple TV. This is sort of like a multi-generational series about a Korean woman sort of journey from Korea to Japan to America through different family members. It's a very good show. It's almost like If This Is Us was more like on an international scale,
Oh,
almost.
okay.
So it's really good. I'll be watching that. And then BET's Average Joe, starring Dion Cole, is on Netflix. So I'm going to finally check that out. People said it was really good. I think it got renewed for a second season. And then Rings of Power season 2 starts on the 29th. And some films I want to see: The Deliverance is supposed to arrive on Netflix on August 30th. This is the Lee Daniels movie about an exorcism in a home in Gary,
That's right.
Indiana.
Yeah.
So the cast looks really strong with Andra Day, Glenn Close, Anjanae Alice Taylor, and Monique. And then the 23rd, The Supremes at Earl's All You Can Eat also will be released. This stars Uzo Aduba, Sanaa Lathan, and again, Anjanae Ellis Taylor. It's based on a book by a guy who's from Indianapolis. Like, Indiana is
Oh, okay.
all in the
Yeah.
mix. So about three women who were best friends growing up in this Indiana town, and sort of like the trials and tribulations they face throughout their friendship. So it looks pretty good.
Okay. Yeah. For me, I just got some stuff that I still had on the list. One being Love Lies Bleeding, which I think is on Max. I wanted to check that out, the Kristen Stewart film, and then Dirty Pop. I really want to watch that because
Oh
I
yeah.
love these little documentaries of like kind of our past and really nostalgic things getting picked apart. First, we had what was it with the Nickelodeon? I forgot the name of the documentary.
Quiet on the Set.
Quiet on Set, which is not done, and then now this is picking apart kind of the boy band thing. And what was the guy's name? Is it Lou Pearlman? Is that his name? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very interested in that and see how that goes.
Yeah, he was a scammer for real.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see what that transpires to be.
Yeah.
Well,
Hopefully it's
thank you
good.
for listening to another episode of It's a Streamable Life podcast with Brandon and Lorin. And we hope you join us for the next time as we will continue to talk about what we're watching. Until then, keep on streaming.
Peace.